Hi friends, you're about to see a clip of former Senator Ron Paul on the floor of the Senate in 2011 talking about how Israel encouraged the creation of Hamas. I know it sounds crazy, right? But Washington Post reported this in 2014. So did the Wall Street Journal actually in 2009. There were former Israeli officials who admitted it, said it was probably a mistake. Now, how could this happen, right? They were worried about Yasser Arafat and the Palestine Liberation Organization, which was not a religious group. It was a secular group, and it had ties to Marxists and leftists. They allowed former members of the Muslim Brotherhood to come in and establish a charity called Mujama Al-Islamiya, which means center, Islamic center. In 1987, the group became Hamas. The only elections ever held in Gaza were in 2006, and the people voted for Hamas. So they've been governing ever since because there have been no more elections. Not sure why. The clip is not an outlier. Ron Paul is not being a kook or whatever you might think with your preconceived notions. And he does compare Israel encouraging the creation of Hamas to the United States encouraging Osama bin Laden and his fellow mujahideen to fight against the Soviets after the 1979 invasion of Afghanistan. Once that was over, all of a sudden Osama bin Laden is our enemy. I could never really wrap my head around that. I won't say what I really think right now.
Without objection.
Madam Speaker, I rise in opposition to this resolution, not because I am taking sides and picking who the bad guys are and who the good guys are, but I'm looking at this more from the angle of being a United States citizen, an American, and I think resolutions like this really do us great harm. In many ways, what's happening in the Middle East, and in particular with Gaza right now, we have some moral responsibility for both sides in a way, because we provide help and funding for both Arab nations and Israel. And so we definitely have a moral responsibility, and especially now today, the weapons being used to kill so many Palestinians are American weapons, and American funds essentially are being used for this. But there's a political liability which I think is something that we fail to look at, because too often there's so much blowback from our intervention in areas that we shouldn't be involved in. You know, Hamas, if you look at the history, you'll find out that Hamas was encouraged and really started by Israel, because they wanted Hamas to counteract Yasser Arafat. And you say, well, yeah, that was better then and served its purpose, but we didn't want Hamas to do this. So then we as Americans say, well, we have such a good system, we're going to impose this on the world. We're going to invade Iraq and teach people how to be Democrats. We want free elections. So we encourage the Palestinians to have a free election. They do, and they elect Hamas. So we first indirectly and directly through Israel help establish Hamas. Then we have election. Then Hamas becomes dominant, so we have to kill them. During the 80s, we were allied with Osama bin Laden, and we were contending with the Soviets. It was at that time our CIA thought it was good if we radicalized the Muslim world. So we financed the madrasa schools to radicalize the Muslims in order to compete with the Soviets. There's too much blowback. There's a lot of reasons why we should oppose this resolution. It is not in the interest of the United States. It's not in the interest of Israel either.